The stage is set in a bustling office, the air thick with tension. We see a young manager, let's call him Alex, standing over an employee's desk, his face a mask of frustration. He points a finger at the spreadsheet on the screen, his voice rising with each word. "This is completely wrong, Mark. How can you make such a simple mistake? This is the third time this month. Do you even pay attention?" Mark, the employee, visibly shrinks in his chair. His jaw tightens, his shoulders slump. He doesn't respond, but his silence is a shield, not a sign of surrender. The message is clear. Alex's words, intended to correct, have only created a wall between them. The work may or may not be fixed, but the relationship is certainly broken. This scene, so common in workplaces and homes alike, perfectly illustrates a fundamental truth Dale Carnegie spent his life teaching. Criticism is futile because it puts a person on the defensive and usually makes him strive to justify himself. Carnegie wasn't suggesting we turn a blind eye to errors or dysfunction. Far from it. He was a pragmatist. He understood that to influence someone, you must first get them to listen to you, and criticism is the fastest way to shut a person down. When you criticize, you aren't just pointing out a flaw in their work, you are attacking their sense of self-worth. They stop hearing the what and only feel the how, the sting of your words. Their immediate involuntary response is to protect their ego. They will argue, make excuses, or simply shut down. In that moment, any chance of a productive conversation is lost. So, what is the alternative? Carnegie offers a secret, one so powerful it feels almost like magic. Remove criticism from your vocabulary and replace it with a genuine effort to understand. Instead of starting with what's wrong, start with a statement of empathy. Imagine Alex approaches the same situation differently. He could sit next to Mark and say, "Hey Mark, I see a few things here that don't look right. I'm sure there's a good reason. Can you walk me through your process? Maybe I missed something." This approach is a complete paradigm shift. It doesn't absolve Mark of responsibility, but it does remove the threat. It invites collaboration, not conflict. Mark is now a partner in problem solving, not a target for blame. This isn't about being weak or avoiding tough conversations. It's about being strategically smart. Carnegie's work is filled with stories of leaders who transformed their teams by mastering this principle. He recounts the story of President Lincoln, a man who, early in his career, wrote blistering letters and editorials condemning his opponents. He was a master of ridicule, and it made him a lot of enemies. But after a duel almost happened because of one of his fiery letters, he changed his approach. Lincoln realized that to unite a nation, he had to stop tearing people down. He learned to never condemn others, for they, in similar circumstances, would do the same. He shifted from a critic to an empath, and it made him one of the most respected leaders in history. The same principle applies to our personal lives. Think about a disagreement with a partner, a friend, or a family member. The moment you start with a criticism, "You always," or "You never," the conversation is over before it begins. The other person hears the accusation, not the issue. A more effective approach, as Carnegie taught, is to begin with a question and a sense of shared purpose. "I'm feeling a bit disconnected lately, and I want to understand what's going on from your perspective. Can we talk about it?" This opens the door to a genuine conversation, where both parties can feel heard and respected. The secret to gaining respect isn't about being right, it's about being a person others want to be around. When you give up the need to criticize, you become a source of safety and support, not judgment. People will naturally gravitate towards you. They will trust you, they will listen to you because they know you're not trying to tear them down, but to build something better with them. This single act, the conscious decision to stop finding fault in others, is the foundation upon which all other principles of influence are built. It is the first and most crucial step in changing how everyone starts seeing you. The office lights hum softly. Alex, our manager from before, walks by Mark's desk. This time there's no tension, no looming critique. He pauses and looks at the completed project on Mark's screen. Instead of pointing out a flaw, his eyes scan the details, the thoughtful layout, the clear data visualization. He leans in and says genuinely, "Mark, I just want to say, this report is fantastic. The way you've organized the data is incredibly clear, and that presentation you built for it is really sharp. It's exactly what we needed. Great job." Mark looks up, surprised. The defensive posture he wore just yesterday melts away. A small, genuine smile touches his lips. He says, "Thanks, Alex. I really spent a lot of time on it." In that moment, a connection is forged. Alex hasn't just given a compliment. He's given a gift of recognition, fulfilling one of the deepest human needs. Dale Carnegie knew this secret and built his philosophy around it. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. This isn't about flattery. Flattery, as Carnegie said, is cheap and insincere. It's a counterfeit currency that people immediately see through. Sincere appreciation, on the other hand, is a gold coin of genuine value. It comes from a place of honest observation and heartfelt recognition. It says, "I see you, I see your effort, and I value it." Think about the people in your life. Do you remember the moments when you received honest, specific praise? A boss who noticed you stayed late to finish a critical task. A partner who genuinely thanked you for doing a chore without being asked. A friend who complimented your new idea. These moments stand out because they made you feel seen, important, and valued. They filled that fundamental human craving. When you give this to others, you aren't just being nice. You are investing in a powerful form of human connection. You are building respect and loyalty in a way that criticism or command could never achieve. The challenge is that most of us are so focused on what needs to be fixed that we forget to see what's already working well. We are quick to point out a mistake but silent when someone does something right. This is a missed opportunity. Carnegie urged his readers to change this habit. He gave an example of a man who wrote a letter to a newspaper editor. The letter wasn't a complaint. It was praise for how well the paper was doing its job. The editor was so moved by the sincere appreciation that he not only published the letter, but called the man personally to thank him. That simple act of recognition created an instant and powerful bond. Applying this principle in our own lives is straightforward, but requires conscious effort. It means training your eye to look for the good in others. A colleague presents a complicated idea well, tell them. A child cleans their room without being asked. Notice it and praise the initiative. A partner does something thoughtful. Don't just accept it, thank them, and explain why you appreciate it. The key is to be specific. Instead of saying, "Good job," say, "I love the way you handled that client's difficult question. You were so calm and professional." This detail shows you were truly paying attention. When you consistently practice sincere appreciation, you become a person people want to be around. They will be more receptive to your ideas because they know you see their value. You build a sense of psychological safety and a powerful emotional bank account. And the more you deposit genuine appreciation, the more others will respect you. This simple act, seeing and valuing the good in others, is the second crucial step in earning respect. It shifts the dynamic from one of judgment to one of mutual admiration. The scene shifts. We're at a networking event, a room full of people trying to make an impression. We see a man, let's call him David, working the room. He moves from group to group, a practiced smile on his face, a pre-written elevator pitch ready to go. He talks about his company's success, his achievements, and his ambitious goals. He's good at what he does, and he's impressive. But watch the people he talks to. They nod, they smile, but their eyes are already scanning the room for the next conversation. They are a polite audience, not engaged participants. Now, turn our attention to another person across the room, a woman named Sarah. Sarah isn't talking about herself. She's talking to people, but more importantly, she's asking them questions. She's listening. "What's the most interesting part of your job?" she asks. "How did you get started in this field? What are you passionate about outside of work?" Her face is a study in genuine curiosity. The people she talks to don't look bored. They lean in, their faces animated as they share their stories. When they walk away from her, they feel energized and important. They feel a sense of connection. They don't remember what she said about herself, but they will definitely remember her. Dale Carnegie understood this dynamic better than anyone. He said, "You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you." This is the ultimate secret of his philosophy. Most people spend their lives trying to be interesting. They want to be the center of attention, the person with the most captivating story. But the reality is, everyone is the center of their own universe. The moment you stop trying to get attention and start giving it, you become infinitely more valuable to others. When you show a genuine interest in someone, you are in effect giving them the stage. You are saying, "Your life, your thoughts, and your experiences are important to me." This principle is deceptively simple. It's not about pretending to care. It's about a fundamental shift in mindset. It requires you to genuinely step outside of yourself and your own concerns. It's the difference between asking, "How are you?" while already thinking about what you want to say next, and asking, "How are you?" with the sincere intention of hearing the answer. It requires being fully present in the moment and listening with the intent to understand, not just to reply. Carnegie himself was a master of this. He once wrote of a dinner he attended with a renowned botanist. For hours, Carnegie did little more than listen. He asked questions about the botanist's life, his work, and his travels. He was so genuinely fascinated that the conversation was effortless. When the evening ended, the botanist went on and on to their host about what a brilliant conversationalist Dale Carnegie was. Carnegie had barely said a word about himself. He had simply used the power of authentic interest to make the other person feel important, and in doing so, had created a powerful and lasting impression. In our modern world, where everyone is broadcasting their own lives on social media, the act of genuinely listening and showing interest is a rare and highly respected skill. It's the antidote to self-absorption. This is why people are drawn to great interviewers and therapists. They are experts at asking questions and creating a space where the other person feels comfortable and valued enough to share. The same power is available to us in every interaction. Whether you're talking to a colleague, a client, a neighbor, or a stranger on a bus, the moment you ask a sincere question and truly listen to the answer, you've opened a door that others often leave closed. This practice is the gateway to real connection. It allows you to understand people's motivations, their desires, and their fears. It gives you the information you need to build trust and influence. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the most effective way to show you care is to become truly interested in them. This is the third pillar of respect, and it is the one that will transform your relationships from transactional to meaningful. Let's return to our networking event. Sarah, the woman who was so skilled at showing genuine interest, has just been speaking with a new acquaintance, a software developer named Ben. She's learned that Ben is not just a coder. He's a passionate amateur astronomer who spends his weekends at a local observatory. While others might have moved on, Sarah stays engaged. Instead of pivoting to a new subject, she asks, "Ben, that's fascinating. I've always been intrigued by the night sky. What's the most incredible thing you've ever seen through a telescope?" She's not an expert on astronomy, and it doesn't matter. Her questions aren't about demonstrating her own knowledge. They're about encouraging Ben to talk about what he loves. His face lights up. He begins to describe a nebula he once photographed, his hands moving to illustrate the vastness of space. For the next 10 minutes, he talks with an enthusiasm that's contagious, and Sarah listens intently. When their conversation finally ends, Ben feels a profound connection. He just had a conversation with someone who made him feel important, someone who cared about the things that mattered most to him. Dale Carnegie wrote, "The only way on earth to influence other people is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it." This is a profound and often misunderstood principle. It's not manipulation, it's empathy in action. It's the highest form of showing genuine interest. Once you've taken the time to listen and understand what someone is truly passionate about, you have a golden key. You can't just talk at them, you can talk to them in a language they understand and care about. Think about a common sales scenario. An untrained salesperson walks into a meeting and immediately launches into a memorized speech about their product's features. They talk about horsepower, gigabytes, and efficiency, all from their perspective. A Carnegie-trained professional would do the opposite. They would first ask questions about the client's business, their challenges, and their goals. They'd listen for what the client truly wants to achieve. Only then would they connect their product's features to the client's interests. "You said you want to cut down on processing time," they might say. "Our new software's gigabytes will translate directly into the speed you're looking for, helping you meet that goal." The focus shifts from, "This is what my product does," to, "This is how my product helps you." This principle is powerful in every area of life. In your personal relationships, it means connecting with your partner's love for a certain movie genre, your child's obsession with a video game, or your friend's passion for a hobby. It's about meeting people where they are. In leadership, it means understanding what motivates each team member. For one, it might be the chance for a promotion. For another, it might be more time with family. A great leader talks to each person in terms of their interests and goals, not just the company's. This builds trust and shows that you see them not as a cog in a machine, but as an individual with unique hopes and dreams. Carnegie himself used this in his famous classes. When a person would stand up to give a speech, he would often find a connection to their personal life, their job, a family story, a hobby, and frame the critique and advice around that. He wasn't just giving a generic lesson, he was making it personal, and therefore infinitely more impactful. This principle is the direct result of the previous one. You can't talk in terms of others' interests if you haven't first shown genuine interest and listened to what those interests are. When you master this, you move beyond simply being liked to being seen as a person who truly understands and cares. People will naturally be drawn to you and respect you because you are a source of positive energy and a partner in their own pursuits. This is not about being a sycophant. It is about being a master of connection. It is the fourth and most powerful secret to changing how everyone starts seeing you. Imagine this scenario. A CEO of a large company, known for his incredible memory, walks into a room of 100 new employees. He moves through the crowd, shaking hands, making eye contact, and listening to each person introduce themselves. Later that day, he sees one of the new hires, a young woman named Clara, in the hallway. He stops, smiles, and says, "Clara, how's your first day going? I hope you're settling in well." Clara is stunned. In a company of thousands, the CEO not only remembered her but used her name. In that simple human moment, he didn't just acknowledge her existence, he acknowledged her importance. He made her feel like an individual, not just a number. That single gesture created a powerful sense of respect and loyalty that 100 company-wide emails never could. Dale Carnegie wrote, "Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language." This statement isn't a poetic exaggeration. It's a fundamental psychological truth. When you use someone's name, you are doing more than just identifying them. You are affirming their identity. It signals that you are not just hearing them, but you are truly seeing them as a person with unique value. In a world that often feels impersonal and transactional, remembering and using someone's name is an act of profound respect. This principle is the ultimate test of genuine interest. It's easy to ask questions and pretend to listen, but forgetting someone's name immediately reveals a lack of true attention. It communicates, intentionally or not, "You were not important enough for me to remember." Carnegie often taught that for most people, their name is the one thing they hold most dear. He knew that if you could master the simple act of remembering and using names, you would possess a tool more powerful than any expensive gift or grand gesture. So how do you master it? It takes conscious effort. When you meet someone new, don't just shake their hand and move on. Listen carefully when they introduce themselves. Say their name out loud. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mark." Mentally repeat their name a few times. Connect it to a visual cue or a story they've just told. Mark, the software developer who loves astronomy. Use their name naturally throughout the conversation. The more you use it, the more it will stick in your memory. This isn't just for business leaders or people in positions of power. It's for everyone. The cashier at your local store, the barista who makes your coffee, the neighbor you see every day. Make the effort to learn their names. A simple, "Thanks, Maria. Have a great day," at the coffee shop can transform a fleeting transaction into a warm, human interaction. You become the person who sees them, and they, in turn, will see and respect you. Carnegie's own stories are filled with examples of people who gained influence by this simple practice. He told of a man who worked for a steel company and had an almost impossible task of getting a huge amount of steel out on time. The manager of the factory floor, a tough man, seemed uncooperative. The steel executive went to the factory, but instead of demanding things, he first asked the manager his name and then complimented him on how well he ran his floor. He used the manager's name throughout their conversation. The manager's attitude softened, and he went above and beyond to help the executive get the steel. It wasn't about the steel. It was about the respect shown to a person whose name was remembered. This is a small habit that yields enormous returns. It is a subtle but powerful way to show people that they matter. When you make a point of remembering and using a person's name, you are telling them that they are a significant part of your world. In doing so, You build a powerful foundation of trust and respect, changing how everyone starts seeing you for the better. The setting is a coffee shop. We see a man, John, sitting across from his friend Maria. Maria is visibly stressed, talking about her challenges at work, a difficult project, a demanding boss, the constant pressure. She speaks for a long time, sharing her frustrations. John doesn't interrupt, he doesn't offer advice, he doesn't start talking about his own similar problems. Instead, he simply listens. He nods. He maintains eye contact. He says things like, "That sounds really tough," or "What happened next?" He asks open-ended questions that encourage her to continue. "How did that make you feel? What do you think is the next step?" When Maria finally stops talking, she looks relieved. She takes a deep breath and says, "Thank you for listening, John. I feel so much better just getting that all out." She feels a sense of profound trust and respect for him because he gave her the gift of his full attention. Dale Carnegie emphasized this point as the bedrock of all human relationships. He said, "If you want to be a good conversationalist, be an attentive listener." This simple truth runs counter to what most people believe. We're taught that to be a great conversationalist, we have to have clever things to say, witty stories to tell, and a lot of impressive knowledge to share. But Carnegie's insight was that the most engaging people are not the ones who talk the most. They are the ones who listen the most. They understand that a person's life is their most important story, and if you encourage them to tell it, they will think you are a brilliant conversationalist, even if you've said very little. Being a good listener is far more than just being quiet while someone else speaks. It's an active, engaged process. It means listening with your whole being, your eyes, your posture, and your mind. It means putting your phone away, turning off the mental monologue of what you want to say next, and genuinely focusing on the other person. This is a skill that demonstrates you see the other person as being more important than your own thoughts or opinions. When you encourage others to talk about themselves, you are fulfilling their deepest need to feel heard and significant. Think of the people in your life who you feel closest to. Chances are, they are the ones who have listened to you during your moments of joy, sorrow, and struggle. They are the people who have created a safe space for you to be vulnerable and open. You trust them because they have shown that they are interested in your life, not just their own. When you become that person for someone else, you become a powerful force in their life. You are the person they turn to for advice, for comfort, and for connection. This principle is the ultimate expression of empathy. It's the moment where you are no longer focused on what you can get from a person, but on what you can give them. The act of listening shows respect on a fundamental level. It tells the other person that their thoughts are valuable and their feelings are valid. By mastering this, you become a rare and sought-after individual. People will be drawn to you because you provide something they crave and rarely receive, a truly attentive ear. This habit builds a powerful bond of trust and mutual respect, solidifying your reputation as a person of depth and integrity. It is a quiet yet incredibly effective way to change how everyone starts seeing you. The scene is an important project meeting. The team is presenting their work to a major client. Suddenly, the client points out a significant flaw in the data, a miscalculation that could have serious financial implications. The atmosphere in the room freezes. The team leader, a woman named Sarah, takes a deep breath. She could try to justify the error. She could blame a junior team member. She could get defensive. Instead, she looks directly at the client and says, "You are absolutely right. That's a serious mistake, and I take full responsibility for it. There is no excuse. My team and I will fix this immediately." The client, who was ready for a confrontation, is disarmed. The tension in the room melts away. Sarah hasn't lost respect. She has gained it. Her team members see her as a person of integrity. The client sees her as trustworthy. She didn't just save face, she saved the relationship. Dale Carnegie believed that one of the most powerful and effective ways to handle a difficult situation is to admit your own mistakes. He said, "Any fool can try to defend his or her mistakes, and most fools do, but it raises one above the herd and gives one a feeling of nobility and exaltation to admit one's mistakes." This is a profound insight. Most people, when they are wrong, fall into the trap of self-justification. They will make excuses, deflect blame, or even double down on their position. This defensiveness only escalates conflict and erodes trust. It shows a person who is insecure and unwilling to grow. On the other hand, a person who can admit they are wrong demonstrates immense strength. It takes courage to look at your own imperfections and own them fully. When you do so, you immediately disarm the person you are in conflict with. The moment you say, "I'm sorry, I was wrong," there is nothing left for them to argue about. You've taken all the wind out of their sails. You are no longer their opponent. You are a fellow human who is fallible, just like them. Think about a conflict in your personal life. When you are arguing with a friend or a partner, the moment one person says, "You know what? I handled that poorly. I apologize," the entire dynamic shifts. The other person often responds with their own admission of fault. It creates a space for forgiveness and a return to a healthy relationship. This is not about being a doormat. It's about being the bigger person. It's about valuing the relationship over the need to be right. Carnegie provides a powerful story of his own experience with this. He once got a dog, and without knowing, he let the dog run around a park without a leash, breaking a local law. He was confronted by a police officer, a stern man, who started to criticize him harshly. Instead of getting defensive, Carnegie looked at the officer and said, "Officer, you're right. I'm guilty. You caught me red-handed. I have no alibi. You are completely justified in everything you're saying." The officer was so surprised by this admission that his tone completely changed. The scolding stopped and he became friendly, even offering advice on how to train the dog better. Carnegie's humility had transformed a potential confrontation into a productive conversation. This is the ultimate secret to earning respect. When you are willing to take responsibility for your errors, you demonstrate integrity, honesty, and confidence. You show that you are not so fragile that you cannot admit a mistake. People will not only forgive you, but they will admire you for it. This final principle is the capstone of all the others. When you have cultivated the habit of appreciating others, being genuinely interested in them, and listening to what they have to say, the final step of owning your mistakes will solidify your reputation as a person who is not only likable, but deeply respected and trusted.